Hello, I'm Morgan Watkins, and this feels like I'm doing an ident for an audition, but I'm not. I am going to do an explainer of a Shakespeare speech. So people following our channel will have seen Project 39 and they will have seen various videos by different actors. And yeah, we thought it would be interesting to maybe discuss with you our approaches to our speeches and maybe explain what the speech is about, because Shakespeare isn't always very easy to understand at first. So the two speeches I'm sort of looking at today are the Ulysses speech from Troilus and Cressida, "Time hath my lord a wallet at his back," and the King Henry speech, "What's he that wishes so?" And I just wanted to show them both to you to start with, because I've got them both here. I print them out. You know, I obviously read the play, but I always like to get a printout of the Shakespeare speeches because I find it very interesting to kind of mark out the iambic pentameter on there, and the iambic pentameter being a stress on every second beat of the 10 beats in the line. So 5 stresses and 5, maybe would you call it slacks? I don't know, but I find it's a very interesting thing just to mark out. So yeah, I thought that's quite nice to see, is that I've done it on there, and I will sometimes draw sections on there, sections of kind of passages of journeys in the speech. I'm going to focus in on "Time hath my lord a wallet at his back," the Ulysses speech, because it's lesser known than the Henry speech, and I think it's less easy to understand on first listen. The Henry speech is kind of more clear and is all about war, and it's not exactly self-explanatory, but it's clearer, I think, what's going on. Whereas this speech, like many of the Shakespeare speeches, or even just all of Shakespeare, really is like a riddle. At first you hear it, you think, what the hell are they talking about? And I think the beauty and the wonder of Shakespeare is that once you unravel it, it sort of explodes in your mind. And Shakespeare is taking thought to a higher, more complex level and making life richer and more beautiful. And so he greatens our experience of being a human. Ulysses is speaking to Achilles, and this is from the play Troilus and Cressida. So as Ollie said in his video, I'd advise to read the play. Even that itself can be quite difficult, to be honest. So I would advise to read a synopsis before you read, and also perhaps, read an essay or something written about it. I read Harold Bloom's essays as I was reading through the entire chronology of Shakespeare, and I found that a very useful way to prepare myself for what was to come. And I have to admit, I found Troilus and Cressida very difficult to follow, and it would take a lot of study to understand it. But I love it because it's Shakespeare's kind of Trojan War play, his ancient Greek play, and I am fascinated by this period of history, and so it's very fun to see Shakespeare explore it. These characters, Ulysses, Hector, Alcibiades, Troilus, Cressida, Agamemnon, there are lots of these great characters that we all will know of from studying. If you study the classics at all, you'll be used to them. When I'm looking at it, the first thing I'll do is maybe just read through it, understand the context, and then break down the iambic pentameter. Just have a look at what that might give me. So, "Time hath my lord a wallet at his back, wherein he puts arms for oblivion, a great sized monster of ingratitudes." So I would maybe even exaggerate it when I'm reading it and performing it. And if I work with actors, we'll often do this. We'll do these runs where you go da-dun, 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 da-dun. And you might get some clues there. The logic might reveal itself to you through the rhythm. So that's always worth having a go with. With the iambic pentameter, the way I think of it is it's like the horse that you're riding on, okay? And it's underneath the text, right? It's there, and you need to know it's there, and you need to be in command of the horse. So if you're going to break the iambic pentameter or break the rhythm, as some actors do, perhaps to a slightly criminal level, but I won't bitch or call anyone out right now. But I think there's a danger if you break it down too much. The piece will lose all its pace and all its rhythm, and we'd be there for hours in the theatre because every actor is breaking the verse all the time. So I think we have to respect that the iambic pentameter is there. It's a horse underneath the text. Da-dun, 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 da-dun. And if you want to stop it, you have to be in command of the horse, and you have to know that it's your horse, and you're going to stop it for a second, but you can always da-ding, 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 da-ding. You can always get back on it. And so that's the way I like to think about it, is like the horse underneath you when you're riding a Shakespeare speech. So that's my way of thinking about it. And it can ground you in the speech, and it's very good for memorizing the lines. So the iambic pentameter, there we go. I am looking for the relationships as well. Who's he talking to? Why is he talking to them? Ulysses here is talking to Achilles. And Ulysses is the Latinized version of Odysseus from the film The Odyssey. So these characters are from the books, the Homer, the Homeric epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey. Okay, the Iliad is first and the Odyssey is second. The Iliad, Achilles is kind of like the main character. It's a very sort of war-heavy, bloodthirsty romp. And the Odyssey is slightly more... lots of drama, slightly more thoughtful. And you can sometimes think of like Achilles and Odysseus as these figures of dividing history. Achilles is the warrior, whereas Odysseus is more of the thinking man. And feels like a slight change between these two books. I always see that. So you've got these characters here. You've got Odysseus talking to Achilles and trying to convince him of something. Now, Odysseus is trying to convince Achilles back into war, right? He wants him to come out of that tent that he's been sleeping in. They need him to fight because without Achilles, they can't win this war. They can't beat Troy. They've been invading for a long time, and the war has beat them down, and they need Achilles, okay? And if you've seen Troy, you'll know about this story, okay? The film with Brad Pitt, of course, playing Achilles. So Odysseus is trying to get Achilles to get back into war. And the way he does that is by using rhetoric in which he appeals to his ego. He appeals to his ego and says, time will forget you if you don't act now. And this is his attack. This is his tactic here. He's like, I'll appeal to his ego, this sense of having to be a man in time who lives with honor all the time. And so Ulysses will make the case that time is an unforgiving monster that only rewards those who act in the present. And you, Achilles, the greatest warrior of all time, will be forgotten by time if you don't act now. So that's the entire thrust of the speech. Okay. And I'll read through it, and I will try and be quite quick here because I don't want to waste all your time, but I'll try and break it down for you, right, okay? Time hath my lord a wallet at his back, wherein he puts arms for oblivion, a great-sized monster of ingratitudes. So immediately he sets up the character of Time. Time is this huge monster who takes everything in, puts it behind him, and sends it into oblivion, and just doesn't really care. Time is a great monster, right? And the scraps that you give him, those scraps are good deeds past, which are devoured as fast as they are made, forgot as soon as done. Okay. And so time is taking everything, the scraps, he's devouring them. As soon as they're made, he eats them. They go, you almost think of time as this kind of like a ghost, like a huge ghost who just eats food and it just falls through him. But that food is your deeds. The amazing things you do, doesn't matter. Time just keeps eating them. So you have to keep catching up. And he says, perseverance, dear my lord, keeps honor bright. That's the key line. Perseverance, dear my lord, keeps honor bright. To have done, so if you've done something in the past, is to hang, quite out of fashion, like rusty mail in monumental mockery. So he's like, well, if you do something, you're going to be like a sort of something in a museum, you know, a bit of chainmail just standing there, some armor standing there, okay, and people laughing at you. And then he says, take the instant way, for honor travels in a strait so narrow where one but goes abreast. Take the instant way, because honor the strait is so narrow, there's only room for one in it, okay? Keep then the path. For emulation hath 1,000 sons that one by one pursue. So emulation is following you, and it has sons that are following you one by one. And if you give way, if you stop, or you hedge aside from the direct forthright, like to an entered tide, they'll rush by and leave you hindmost. So if you get off this narrow strait of honor, all of the sons of emulation are going to rush past you like the tide. Okay, it's very persuasive, good language, and leave you hindmost, or like a gallant horse fallen in first rank, lie there for pavement to the abject rear, overrun and trampled on. So he's saying, well, like your great horse, but you've fallen. and you're now pavement, and everyone's trampling over you. And I think this is true. Athletes know this as well. If you're the heavyweight champion and you lose, within a few years there'll be contenders taking you over, and they don't really care about you anymore. And then what they do in present, though less than yours in past, must overtop yours. So even if what they're doing now is less than what you did when you won 4 title belts, if they've won one, people don't care. They're more interested in the person right now. That's Ulysses' argument. And then he returns back to time. He says, "For time is like a fashionable host." Right? Okay. So he's personifying time again, characterizing time as a fashionable host that slightly shakes his parting guest by the hand. So as you're going, he shakes your hand slightly, right? And with his arms outstretched as if he would fly. So Ulysses paints this picture of time with arms reaching out. So he's saying goodbye to the passing guests, you, who are not acting in the moment, and with his arms outstretched as if he would fly, grasps in the comer. Welcome ever smiles, and farewell, you, goes out sighing. Okay, so time is just interested in the new person, not you anymore. You're outside. And then he goes back in. Let not virtue seek remunerate. So it says remuneration, but you can say remuneration, because remuneration is a slightly weird word for my brain, and I looked up and some people say remuneration, so I said remuneration. Remuneration for the thing it was, for beauty, wit, high birth, vigour of bone, desert in service, love, friendship, charity, all these great things in life are subjects all to envious and calumniating time. Time just takes everything. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care for you. Doesn't care. It takes everything. One touch of nature makes the whole world kin. Right? One touch of now, the physical nature makes the whole world kin. That all with one consent praise newborn God. So all the people, oh, there's a new person in town, they praise them. Though they are made and moulded of things past, though they're there because of you, they've learned how to fight because of you, Achilles, doesn't matter. Right? And give to dust that is little guilt more lord than guilt o'er-dusted. The present eye praises the present object. Very, very simple, that one. The present eye praises the present object. What's happening now is seen by what's seen now. Okay? Then marvel not, this is a big warning, thou great and complete man, that all the Greeks begin to worship Ajax, since things in motion sooner catch the eye than what not stirs. So Ajax is this other warrior, right? He's a rival to Achilles. People are going to watch him. Right, because things in motion, because Ajax is in motion, things in motion sooner catch the eye than what not stirs, meaning you, Achilles. You're not doing anything. And then he says, the cry went once on thee, and still it might, and yet it may again. So he's saying it could happen again, it did, and it will if you carry it. And I like this language, still it might, and yet it may again. I think I might have mucked up in the recording, but I do like it if I say it properly. The cry went once on thee, and still it might, and yet it may again. If thou wouldst not entomb thyself alive, and case thy reputation in thy tent. So it will come back to you if you don't sit in that tent, and keep your reputation in that tent with you and Patroclus, his cousin, who some people think is his lover. Shakespeare doesn't seem to suggest that in the play as far as I can remember. Whose glorious deeds but in these fields of late made emulous missions amongst the gods themselves and drave great Mars to faction. Your deeds in the fields of late, the things you have done have made the gods argue and the gods jealous with each other because that's how good you were. So he ends with this huge compliment, but the argument has been made. And that is a breakdown of this speech. And I think it's a fantastic speech. And I think sometimes, you can play this with different ways. Sometimes I was thinking that perhaps Ulysses, or Odysseus himself, is worried that time has left him behind. And is this a warning? Is there an emotional kind of weight to this all, that he's felt the kind of ruthlessness of time? And so I would let that pain sit with me occasionally when I was playing it. But yeah, that's a breakdown of the speech. I hope that helps. And I hope you can enjoy the speech and have a look at it. There's many great speeches in this play. It's a very difficult play, but it's clearly got great substantial work in it. So I'd encourage everyone to study it and find some speeches for yourself.
Time hath, my lord, a wallet at his back, wherein he puts arms for oblivion, a great-sized monster of ingratitudes, and those scraps of good deeds past, devoured as fast as they are made, forgot as soon as done. Perseverance, dear my lord, keeps honour bright. To have done is to hang quite out of fashion like rusty mail, in monumental mockery, take the instant way. For honour travels in a strait so narrow where one but goes abreast. Keep then the path, for emulation hath 1,000 sons that one by one pursue. If you give way or hedge aside from the direct forthright like to an entered tide, they rush by and leave you hindmost. Or like the gallant horse fallen in first rank, lie there for pavement to the abject rear, o'errun and trampled on, though what they do in present less than yours in past must o'ertop yours. For time is like a fashionable host that slightly shakes his parting guest by the hand, and with his arms outstretched as if to fly, welcomes in the comer, ever smiles, and farewell goes out sighing. Oh, let not virtue seek remuneration for the thing it was. For beauty, wit, high birth, vigour of bone, desert of service, love, charity, friendship, are all subjects to envious and calumniating time. One touch of nature makes the whole world kin, that all with one consent praise newborn gods. Though they are made and moulded of things past, the present eye praises the present object. Then marvel not, thou great and complete man, that all the Greeks begin to worship Ajax. Since things in motion sooner catch the eye than what not stirs. The cry went once on thee, and yet it may again, and still it might, if thou wouldst not entomb thyself alive, and case thy reputation in thy tent, whose glorious deeds in these fields of late made emulous missions mongst the gods themselves, and drave great Mars to faction.